A few weeks ago, we went through the 27 art supplies that I regret buying, and a lot of you had very similar experiences. This time, on a happier note, I've put together the 27 art supplies that I love and do not regret buying, so that you can actually see what's worth spending your money on. Well, okay, let's get right to it. We have a lot to get through. Starting in spot number 27, it's this. It's a lino cutter stamp carving kit by SD. I think it cost about £12, so around $16. And you might remember it from the first small business vlog where we made the shop. Oh, that is blue. We carved chantel arts in it to use as a stamp for the shop. Okay, so you get two little round linos. They're sticky, you pop it on the end, but I guess you can only have one at a time. This is the handle for the stamper. Pull it out and that becomes the cutter with various little objects in there. As far as kits go, I kind of love it. Like, you can tell a lot of thought has gone into this product. So the biggest con is that if you use it on a flat surface, the middle doesn't show up. It only does the edges. Possibly the plastic isn't hard enough or sturdy enough, but I cannot use this stamp on a hard surface because the entire middle section just disappears. But it does work fine on a rug or carpet, so that's a workaround. Honestly, it's a pretty cool kit. Recommend. In spot number 26, it's this, the Pentel brush pen, which you might have seen all over Instagram. It's a little squeezy one with black ink inside. You open it and it's a lovely brush. The biggest con is that because it's such a fine tip, you can't really alter your line once it's down. Very difficult to use, and it's also not waterproof. Aside from that though, it's a really fun pen to use. If you have the time to try and figure it out, I do think it's a cool art supply. Spot number 25 is this. Not this particular Arches pad, but Arches pads in general, the cold pressed. They're good, of course they're good, but they're very expensive. And unfortunately, I've had quite a few pads now that have had kind of odd sizing, where there's like little white dots, a little bit patchy. So yes, if you like watercolor and have infinite money, these are fantastic. If not, they're pretty inconsistent, but let's be real, they are the best. In spot number 24 are the Honolulu Ohuhu alcohol markers. This could be any type really. They now have the bees, they have soft chisel. I'm not too fussed about any of that. I would just like a good brush tip, and that is what these have. The brush end is fantastic. This one is chisel, which is a really versatile combo. If you're looking to dabble into alcohol markers, I would definitely recommend getting a brush tip. A lot of it is personal preference, but if you're using coloring books in particular, it'll be a lot easier to get in those lines with a brush tip. Taking spot number 23. It's the Faber-Castell kneadable eraser. If you ever see a putty rubber in stores, do not go for those. They're kind of like fake kneadable erasers. These are sticky, which means you literally could just break it apart however you like. Putty erasers do not do this. These are super handy, especially if you like to use watercolor or handmade paper. Any kind of delicate paper, you can dab, you can gently move it. And this is not going to tear up the paper. They're pretty good, they're handy, they're cheap if you ever see them in an art store. Definitely worth the pickup. In spot number 22, it's these. Faber-Castell Polychromos. These types of pencil are perfect if you want to get those harsh lines. If you were here during the star sign series, you'll know that I use these pencils pretty much for every single portrait because they have a lovely harsh line, especially when compared to wax pencils, and this makes them perfect for mixed media. When you're using something like watercolor and you want to get a lovely sharp edge, that is the perfect pencil really. You can also see just how much pigment comes out. I switched to these artist grade pencils from student grade WH Smith ones, which is just like a stationery store own brand. Look at the amount of pigment that you can get out. Obviously this is just lined paper, but look at that. Now imagine if it's actually on sketchbook paper. They're crazy bright. Oh, maybe we should grab a sketchbook actually. I do now have a messy sketchbook again, if we can find it. Here we go. Yay. Because next up we have another pen. It's this, the Uniball Signo. I did not realize that was getting so low. Oh, that's concerning. I actually heard really good reviews about this pen from people saying that it's better than Jelly Roll. Now, if you watched the last video, the 27 items I do regret, you'll know the Jelly Roll was in there. So hopefully this is gonna work today. Generally, I do like to dab them a little bit beforehand and try and get rid of any excess. This is white on white, so you're not gonna see it anyway. Can you see that? We'll use this. Little dots and a line. Doesn't look as good actually. I think it's running a bit low, a little bit clogged. But do you see how consistent it was to go from one to the next without any dabs in between? I don't think the Jelly Roll is this good. In my opinion, it's just better. It's quite a bit better. I said it. I don't know how you guys like the Jelly Roll. Like, people like the Jelly Roll. Next up is a big one because I made a whole video on this. Now that I don't have one anymore, I think I like it more. I kind of miss it. This is the Strathmore 500 series sketchbook. Started on a little one, then I got the big one. Terrible decoration, really. The cover does get a little bit mangled. Don't really know what that's about. It just starts to fall apart. Something to bear in mind. But other than that, you can see the pages don't really warp very much at all. And it handled watercolor incredibly well. Got some gouache too. Honestly, it just seemed to handle wet mediums very well. This is actually jelly gouache. It's thick and there's no issues whatsoever. It's genuinely a very good sketchbook and I'm kind of missing it. I want to get another. It does have some cons like transfer, but it's actually 100% cotton. They kind of keep that quiet. It's a mixed media sketchbook that is 100% cotton, so it kind of rivals the watercolor varieties like Etcher, the ones that are marketed towards watercolor. This is kind of just as good. In spot number 19 are the Daniel Smith watercolor paints. Now, bear in mind that outside of the US, these are incredibly expensive. If money is no problem, these are technically probably the best watercolors out there. Unfortunately, they are so expensive that it's a little bit of a disappointment when you finally get them, if it was a bit of a splurge. That being said, they have some lovely unique shades. If you're looking to just get one or two paints as a treat for a birthday or Christmas. A little disclaimer, all of these items were purchased over many years and a lot of them were on my list for birthdays and Christmas. And if there's something that you like the look of, just add it to your birthday list, add it to a Christmas list, and maybe you'll get it later on. You don't need to suddenly splurge on things. I don't do that at all. I'm very comfortable with my collection that I research and grow slowly. So definitely don't feel like you now have to go out and get some supplies. That being said, Moonglow is an incredibly iconic shade. Mayan Blue Genuine is also a gorgeous one. And Cascade Green, this might be my favorite actually. Generally, the Daniel Smith shades are unique because they put several pigments together. So they're very much convenient shades, but lovely to reach for. Oh, this next item you have seen a lot for the Create This Book series or How Much Art Can You Make? Because it's the Cardi watercolor paper. I love using this in particular with books because it's so thin, but that doesn't affect the quality. It's Indian handmade paper at only 150 GSM. I believe this is smooth, so it has a slight grain. Just bear in mind that this brand has a lot more texture than others, so something that's smooth is generally kind of cold pressed. Just look how thin this paper is. Honestly, it doesn't affect the quality whatsoever, but it's so thin, it's perfect to stick in books, which means you can paint in an art prompt book. This is 100% cotton. It can hold a lot of water. It's honestly so good. Moving on to this little one. This little quill has been around on the channel for years, to the point that you can't really see on it anymore. It says quill, it's from Jackson's Art, and this is an excellent find actually because it's own brand. It's really cheap, but really good quality. It is synthetic, but holds a lot of water. Kind of kept its point after all these years. Haven't lost any hairs. It's the perfect little paintbrush. And I'll actually pop a link below to this exact one because I can't remember the size right now. Next, in spot number 16 of art supplies I love, it's these. Karen Brush Marker Pro. These are water-based markers and I don't know why they're not getting more love. They are quite pricey, I'm gonna say it now. So maybe just one or two to try. But they are incredibly juicy. These make the tombos look dry. Let me show you. You can see all the liquid in there and it looks a lot closer to a watercolor. Sometimes they do ghost on the page because like look how bright that is. But I'm sorry, just look at it. And unlike the tombow, when you then fill in the gaps, it sort of blends. This can get pretty even coverage, which often isn't the case for water-based markers. See how it still kind of blends? It's so juicy. And if that's something you like from a water-based marker, then these are definitely worth checking out. Next, in spot number 15 are the Neo Color Pastels, specifically the number 2s. And I actually picked up this whole collection from Facebook Marketplace. Honestly, it was a really good find. I got like 84. If you press lightly, it looks like a crayon, but a little bit smoother. And then if you press really hard, you get butter. And then if you grab some water in a little brush or a paintbrush, you can actually reactivate it and turn it into watercolor. Neo colors are truly a fantastic medium. They are super versatile, and if you're gonna get any, I would recommend the number 2, just because for the amount of money you're spending, you get 2 uses. You have some really lovely, gorgeous, unique shades. Like, they're stunning. Some of them are so unique. Like, look at all these. You know, they're not easy to get shades. Honestly, they do have quite a steep learning curve, and it's hard to figure out how you would like to use them because there isn't really one way to use Neo colors. Like, everyone uses them differently. That's the only reason they're not rated higher. Also, they can ghost on the page. Just bear that in mind. If you're using thinner paper, it does kind of ghost. It's just a thing. Oh, we've actually already got one out. Number 14 are water brushes. This is a Derwent one. These are quite pricey. I actually found it on Facebook Marketplace too. It's a little plastic paintbrush. You pop water in this end, you squeeze it, and it comes out the other end, and you can squeeze it and it will just flow. Very simple. You don't have to get fancy ones though. I actually picked up these very cheap water brushes on Temu. Actually filled them with gouache. Water brushes are cheap and super handy, whether you want to paint outside in an easy way, or you can even fill them with ink or something like that. Very good product. In spot number 13, it's this, the Derwent Super Point Sharpener, I believe it's called. Every single product is in my Amazon store, so I'll pop that below if you want to check them out. We need a pencil. I need to demonstrate this. Just open it up, pop it in. When it sounds a bit different, that's when I take it out. And that is why I love this sharpener. Look how sharp that is. Like, look at that. You could injure someone. Number 12 is a really odd find because they're actually oil pens. Didn't realize this when I got them. The gold and silver Uniball oil paint pens. Yeah, which they kind of hide. They are quite smelly when you open them, but they just look like this. So obviously I didn't think they would be oil. Probably seen them on the channel before because I absolutely love these. They're quite difficult to open though. And the gold, which I think might be running out. Oh yeah, that's running out. Ignore the gold. That is the silver, and the gold used to be like that, but it seems to be running low. I will say though, I have used these a lot. I think I got them in like the second Daily Doodle Diary episode, which was like 2.5 years ago, and they're only now running low. So yeah, a bit random, but if you ever see these pens, they are very good. In spot number 11, we have a corner rounder. This one here, which you might have seen recently in the Shein Hauls Revisited video, where 3 years later, it is literally fantastic. Don't know how. Corner rounders are pretty hit or miss, so I can't confirm that if you see this one in the shop, it's actually going to be this one and it's actually going to be good. If you do get a good one, they are a really good supply to have. Literally just pop it in, press it down, and look at that, you have a perfectly rounded corner. Honestly, it just had to be there. It's a fantastic art supply. Next up is a little bit controversial because technically this is a student grade art supply. Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor paint. They come really big, 21 mils, and the really good. Maybe they're not as vibrant. That's like the only difference between them and the professionals. But if you like to use a lot of water or layer, it really doesn't make much difference. In the UK, we can get these for, honestly, I think it's about £5 or £6 for this big watercolor tube. In the UK, these are cheap and easily accessible. So if you're ever visiting, make sure to pick some up. I think it's because of that I love them so much, because it's freeing being able to use paint and not be scared of it running out like I am with the Daniel Smith. And I think this student grade cheaper paint that's still good is actually what helped me grow most as an artist. Sometimes it's better to have the cheaper supplies so that you're not scared of using it. That's my case anyway. Okay, we're now in the top 10, and coming in spot number 9 is this questionable looking thing, which means it's gotten a lot of use. It is the Derwent Soft Eraser. Okay, it's a rubber. Technically, it's just a regular eraser, but it's kind of not. It is softer and more delicate. It's not super hard. It is a little bit bendy. And because of that, this is the perfect middle ground between a kneaded eraser and a regular eraser. So if you're not using handmade paper, or you are using watercolor paper, but you messed up the lines, which I do quite a lot, that's where the middle ground comes in. A nice grey soft eraser. It's honestly a really handy art supply, and I've used this so much more than I ever thought I would. I think we just got this as a stocking filler for Christmas, but it's really good. In spot number 8 is the IKEA roll. Okay, you've seen this on the channel before, right? I'm sure you have if you've been here before. If you haven't and you're new here, hello, I'm Chantel Arts. Make a new video every Thursday and Sunday. We do some silly stuff. We paint. There are series. There's a lot on the channel. This is an IKEA drawing roll. It costs £3. I think I got this when I started to create this book over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and that is how much is left. I cut this up. I've used it for art prompt books. I've used it for the daily doodle diary. This is very thin. Honestly, it surpassed all expectations I had. So next time you're in IKEA, roll of paper. It's odd, but it works. In spot number 7, we have this. This is Winsor & Newton ink. Once it dries, it is waterproof. 30 mils. Oh, this is a different one. This one doesn't have a squeezy. Okay, look out for the ones that do have a little pipette top, because those are better. This must be the replacement. That's a shame. Well, aside from that, I actually completed an entire month of Inktober art prompts using just one of these bottles. They last a while. You can use them with a brush like watercolor. You can use with like a dip pen and draw with them. When you add water, you're going to get loads of different shades of grey. Plus it's big, so it doesn't feel wasteful. You can get like pure jet black backgrounds, lovely blooms, and it's a really good supply to have. Spot number 6 is a little bit different. It is this alcohol marker stand. We painted for a video, you might have seen it. I cannot stress enough how lovely it is to have all of the alcohol markers out where you can see everything and just quickly grab them. That's why my alcohol markers are dry a lot of the time, because having a stand like this makes it accessible. This is only from Temu. This is very cheap. 100% recommend. Have your markers out, easy to see, easy to grab, and if you can paint it, that helps too, makes it pretty. We're now moving on to the top 5 art supplies, and taking spot number 5, it's these acrylic markers. The Ahuhu Nehuku. They are direct ink, which means they're ready to go. Grab one, give it a shake, and good to go. Maybe sort of shaking it a little bit more. Are these not the easiest acrylic markers to use? The only cons are they are pretty short. You don't get very much ink because it's shorter, and also the brush is quite small. So if you're using a big canvas, this would just be too small. But aside from that, they are the best and most consistent acrylic markers I've tried. I love these. In spot number 4, Haran Dash Luminance Color Pencils. Now this ultramarine blue is incredible. Look how bright it is. One of my favorites. If you use it lightly, it looks like that, like a pastel. And that's what happens if you press down. Got some really beautiful colors. Even on this paper, if you like a more pastel look like that, where you see the tooth of the paper, then these are the pencils for you. This one's a lovely unique shade as well. They have some really lovely colors. And if we compare it to the Polychromos, I don't know if you can tell, listen to this. compared with this. They do have a heavier, thicker lead, which makes them not as good for fine lines, but all of that texture makes them perfect for quick sketches. If you want to doodle, draw from life, sketch a face, these are very satisfying to use. Number 3 is a little bit controversial. It's the Handover Squirrel Mop Paintbrush. So unfortunately, it does have actual squirrel hair in it. I got this for Christmas, I believe, and it's the only one that I have, just one to try. And I don't know if I would get another for ethical reasons, but the amount of water and paint that this paintbrush can hold is insane. I couldn't not include it. Unfortunately, it is shrinking a little bit in there, and we're losing some hair. It gets smaller by the day. Nowadays, there are synthetic squirrel hair mop brushes. Definitely recommend getting a big chunky mop brush like this. Number 2 is actually a guillotine. I genuinely cannot explain how good these are. Got the ruler, you can get the perfect size, you got set sizes, and the line is so sharp. I don't know why, well, I do know why, they're expensive. That's why I hesitated for so long at getting one of these, and now don't regret it at all. If you cut up a lot of paper, if you run a small business, get a good guillotine. Trust me, you will not regret it. And finally, in spot number 1, that you might have already guessed, it's the Cardi Fat Book. Yes, that is actually the official name. This is a lovely square sketchbook, and it has so many pages I can't even explain. We have the entire first Peachtober in here, some extra pages, and then we have the entire Inktober from last year in this sketchbook. And there are still pages left. It's handmade Indian 100% cotton rag. Doesn't really warp at all. Lays completely flat. It's perfect. It is so good. It's so good for ink, for watercolor. Has a little bit of tooth. And while sketchbooks are generally personal preference, if you like ink and watercolor, this is the best sketchbook out there. It is so good. And that's everything. Give this video a like if you've discovered some new art supplies. Subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and I'll meet you back here in a few days' time. Bye-bye.